Howdy, folks, and welcome to Moose Podcast 262. How you folks doing? Long time no speak. Yeah, it's been a week, I know, but the week has flown for me, and I hope you guys had a great one, very productive, out there in the killer fall color, making some great shots. Well, thank you for taking the time to come by, listen to what I have to say, and I want to thank many of you for all the kind words you've been putting out there. I am really grateful. Thank you on so many fronts. Thank you. Also want to thank my good friends at Bedford Camera, bedfords.com. Got a really nice email from Rosie who said she checked out Bedford for the first time, actually found something she had been looking for quite a while. Sorry, I don't remember what it was. But not only did she find it, she used the old MOOSE discount, saved money all over the place, and got the product the next day. Hey, that's what Bedford's will do for you. So Bedford's Camera, bedfords.com. Thanks, guys, for sponsoring the Moose Podcast. Getting right into this week's episode, Murphy's Law. Well, that might intrigue you on so many different levels, but I think what I've got might make you just think, and I bet you feel better about your photography. Got to bear with me. It's going to take a long way to get there, but I think I've got a good point. I'm reading a really great book right now, 7 at Santa Cruz. It's about the main emphasis of the book is a World War II pilot, goes by the name of Swede Ace, who really just he saw it all. He saw it all in World War II. Wildcat Ace even shot down a Zero with a Dauntless. Just an amazing person who, in some ways, has an attitude that reminds me a bit of myself. Didn't really put up with illogical, stupid stuff. And in his case, it would cost men their lives. And he didn't get some notoriety that he deserved, like a Medal of Honor, because of that. Nonetheless, he had all the respect of his men and went on to do an incredible amount for this nation and our freedoms. While I'm reading this book, it's a really good read. It's a page burner. And I'm up to after World War II and our race for space and breaking that sound barrier. He's out at what's known as Edwards Air Force Base now. And he was out there with all the big guys, Chuck Yeager and all those kind of folks, as they pushed and pushed and pushed, trying to get past the envelope and just understand more about our world and how we fit into it. Now, in this, he comes up and he says that they had the Stapp Law, S-T-A-P-P, Stapp Law. And the Stapp Law, and photographers love, so many laws. And yeah, I'm going to get around to Murphy's Law. But Stapp Law goes like this. The universal aptitude for ineptitude makes any human accomplishment an incredible miracle. Let me say it one more time. The universal aptitude for ineptitude makes any human accomplishment an incredible miracle. Now, Stapp Law. Who made this up? Well, Dr. Stapp. I don't know if you've heard of Dr. John Paul Stapp. A pretty amazing gentleman. If I said the word rocket sled, would that jog your memory? What Dr. Stapp did was literally strapped himself to the rocket sled to understand how acceleration and deceleration affected the body. And this is a guy who he would never put someone else on that sled for a test, for a new test, before he did it himself. He did it over 120 times, I believe I read. Put himself in that rocket sled and jetted down that rail track and then hit that water and came to a incredible fast deceleration. He even put himself in the cockpit of a jet to see what the effects would be on a human if the canopy came off. And he did that going 540 miles an hour. He had no major injuries from any of this. He had abrasions, broken wrists, things like that. But it's from all that testing that he came up with and what they call the Stapp Law. The universal aptitude for ineptitude makes any human accomplishment an incredible miracle. Now, one thing that you might not be aware of that Dr. Stapp contributed to us was the 3-point seatbelt. Yeah, that was something that he came up with from his deceleration tests. As you can imagine, in an accident, that 3-point seatbelt, that really helps for that deceleration. Another thing, and this is the part that really caught my trivia brain, is he's the one credited for what we think of as Murphy's Law. Yeah, Murphy's Law. Now, what does any of this have to do with our photography? I'm glad you asked. Let me read this one more time, Stapp's Law, because I think it's one that photographers should start putting in their vocabulary. The universal aptitude for ineptitude makes any human accomplishment an incredible miracle. Or you could say, photographers getting in their own way to make their way to make a photograph. If it turns out great, that's an incredible miracle. Or Murphy's Law. If it could go wrong, it will go wrong. If it could go right, it will go right. Now, Dr. Stapp put himself out there in the process. I mean, seriously. Can you imagine the cojones of somebody says, hey, you know what? I'm going to make this track. I'm going to put this sled on this track. And on the back of the sled, I'm going to strap, a rocket. And then I'm going to strap myself into a chair, which, could be from the secretary's office. And I'm going to light the rocket and see what happens. I mean, whoa. Photographers worry about just what lens to put on in the hopes to take a photograph. This guy went for it full bore. So what can we take away from this that would help our photography? Well, the guy who came up with Murphy's Law and Stapp Law, I think it contributes a lot to our efforts as photographers. First, I think is really important to understand that the aptitude for ineptitude. In other words, we are, as a race, kind of designed to attempt things and fail. That is the evolution of our thinking, our way of processing. And in photography, I've mentioned this many times, some of the best lessons are not taught at a university or online course. They're behind the camera when we go down in glorious flames and learn from our own mistakes. That's that aptitude for ineptitude. And some of those mistakes, I make are just like, really, I know better. But no, did I tap into my own knowledge base and say, don't do that? No, of course not, I didn't. And so I failed. And then I don't know how many times, sometimes I have to fail before it finally dawns on me, don't do that, right? And once that does sink in, we get better. Now, the other part of that I think is, an incredible miracle. human accomplishment and incredible miracle. That's to say that we are, by design, not always going to get it right. But when we do, we should celebrate that because it is an incredible miracle. A couple of weeks back, I was in New Hampshire, and if you followed me for years, you know how many times I've gone to New England, and seriously, selecting dates a year in advance, looking at everything from rainfall, temperatures, historic dates for peak color, go through all that trivia trying to find the right dates, and everything from hurricanes to storms to fires. God, I can't think of what else. But there's been other things that when I get there, the color is either not quite yet or is blown out. I mean, last year, I went to Maine, and the drought did us in. All we had was brown, brown, brown. Well, this year, excuse me, we hit it right. We hit the peak colors perfectly in New Hampshire. It was spectacular. It was gorgeous. It was one of those human accomplishments and an incredible miracle. I say that because so many times I've failed, but I didn't give up, kept on going. I think that's what Stapp's Law is really all about. You know, Murphy's Law, when you think about it, and you put that in connection with Stapp's Law, those two together really describe the successful photographer. Murphy's Law, if it's going to go wrong, it will go wrong. The universal aptitude for ineptitude makes any human accomplishment an incredible miracle. That means that life will unfold as it does. We will succeed or not succeed. And if we learn from those lessons, we will be a better photographer. So in other words, you're doing everything correct. No matter what you think you're doing, whatever self-doubts you might have, whatever, somebody says, for the 100th time, don't you remember to do it this way? It's okay you don't. It's part of the human process as we endeavor to go through life and become better at what we want to do. And in this case, that's photography. In this case, be better visual storytellers, which means being able to go out and grab someone's heartstrings with the moment we were so blessed to see, to internalize, to capture, and to share. That's really what Stapp's Law and Murphy's Law is all about. But of course, being photographers, we've got to have that stuff. We've got to have all these different laws to either A, justify why we did something wrong, or B, justifying doing something right. Rather than just saying, I learned, I succeeded. That's kind of a weird thing about us. We can't just accept the way things unfold. We've got to kind of like analyze, dissect, reassemble, and then say, okay, we can go forward now. I think that's what Dr. Stapp was trying to do by putting his butt in a chair and rocketing down, I just can't get over that, down a track, then hitting water and quickly decelerating 120 times. And if you talk to pilots, most of them who know who Dr. Stapp is because of his work with ejection seats and G-loads and allowing pilots to safely do what they do, because he understood that the universal aptitude for ineptitude makes any human accomplishment an incredible miracle. Murphy's Law. There's a lot that we can learn from each other and from the past as we move forward. And that's the goal here, folks, is to constantly learn from all we do. So when we're out there shooting, we're just a little bit better than they were before. That's the incredible miracle of photography. You folks have a great week. Get out with those cameras and remember to make every click your story.